This conference will now be recorded.
And without further ado, I'd like to present Sara Barnowski with Express Employment Professionals. Sara, please take it away.
All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the meeting, and thank you so much for joining us today. We are recording, as Sean said, so I'm going to go ahead and say that it's Thursday, April 23rd, 2020. And to date, so many people and their jobs have been suddenly affected by COVID-19, the dreaded term. I'm here today to aid you in your job search and give you some tools and resources that will hopefully make your life a little less stressful and your job hunt a little faster and easier. The material I cover goes fast, and there is a lot in a short period of time. So like Sean mentioned, if you write your questions down or put them in the chat box on the side, we will have hopefully plenty of time to answer a few of those at the end. And then if there's any that we don't get to, then this material, all of my sources, my resources, and anything that I reference plus this presentation will be available afterward very easily. So if you've ever been to an Idaho Job and Career Fair, or if you've ever been to a job fair, then you may have heard my name. But if you've ever attended my How to Find a Job in Today's Market, then you may have met me. And if not, my name is Sara Barnowski, and I am the business manager for the Treasure Valley Express Employment Professionals offices here in Boise, Caldwell, and Fruitland. We're partnered with the Idaho Business League, one of the sponsors to this event, and have been helping job seekers and businesses in the Valley for over 40 years. I have been with Express for 6 years, and in that time, I have spoken to and met with thousands of local hiring managers, and that is one of the reasons why I was asked to present today. I'm a Boise native, raised here in the Treasure Valley, and I'm also an ambassador for the Boise Chamber. So what I'm going to do is, so you guys can see my presentation. It may already be big. Sean, you're sure everybody can see the slides? I think we're good on that.
Yes, it is showing for everyone.
Chat box and we'll get you all fixed up. Cool. All right, so I'm going to make myself small, which I think I already did. Okay, so we're going to go over a couple housekeeping items, take a quick look at some unemployment information, and then go right into the meat of why you guys are here, to give you some tools, tricks, and resources to adapt and find a job quickly. Oh. All right, sorry, I got to get my screen here. All right. So this just kind of gives a rundown of some of the things we're going to cover today. And speaking of our sponsors, today's webinar wouldn't be possible without their support. The Meridian Chamber of Commerce and the Idaho Job and Career Fair. For more information, please visit the meridianchamber.org for upcoming events and webinars, and idahocareerfair.com for the latest job openings in the Treasure Valley. So thanks again, guys. So in this picture is my team, with the exception of two of our newest amazing Express family members, Brenda and Rob. We are passionate about helping job seekers, such as many of you on listening today. My job is to go out and source local jobs and careers for you, and I have a whole wonderful team ready to match your skills with open positions. Before working for Express, I was a job seeker too, and I have been many times through. When I was looking for work, here are the things I remember that haunted me. I spent a lot of time thinking, analyzing, and underestimating the potential value that I knew I could bring to a company. I cleaned too much. I didn't take enough action. I had 2 young children, both 5 and under. I was stressed, and you could definitely tell in my interviews. What that meant was lots of interviews and not a lot of job offers for a long time. With the current coronavirus situation, things are now even harder for many of you. There is so much uncertainty in what the future of our world holds, on top of the already stressful task of hunting and landing a job. Kids are suddenly out of school and confused. Supplies are harder to find, and we are told to stay at home. Plus, we have sickness all around us and much worldwide support needed in so many ways. So there's our monster, the COVID-19. Here is my question to you. Are you going to let it all consume you and lead you down the path to failure and defeat? Or are you going to fight? Keep moving forward. One step, one application, one conversation, one resume submission at a time. I hope you fight, and that's what I am here to help you with today. When I took the job with Express in December of 2013, I will admit it, it was just a job. Even if I had intentions of staying long-term, I wasn't emotionally invested at first, and that was because it was all brand new to me, and I had no idea I had an interest and a knack for staffing. It went from being just a job to my passion and long-term career path once I learned more about what Express Employment is here to do, which is to give hope to people. This is very important to point out because if you have just lost your job and you're feeling lost, confused, maybe angry, sad, and terrified, and you're left wondering where to go from here, then you're in the right place for at least the next 30 minutes or close to an hour. I heard these phrases many years ago, and they always stuck with me. To cope, adjust, and transform is to adapt. So today we will acknowledge the current situation, accept what is happening, take action, and voila, we're adapting. So you are now looking for your next career, unsure if you will land your dream job or just take another random position just to make sure there's food on the table. Plus, many of you are struggling with having children at home while you're looking for a job. That is extremely stressful. Take a deep breath and just remember that luckily we still have options. When you do find a job, no matter what it is, and no matter how long you plan to stay, look for the opportunity within it and put your best work forward while there, even if only temporary. With the future unknown, we may as well plan for a bounce back, sharpen our skills, and more now than ever, see the silver lining. You just never know where all of this may lead you. By the way, pictured here is Napoleon Hill, and he's the author of the best-selling book, Think and Grow Rich from 1937, so quite a long time ago. But it is among the 10 best-selling self-help books of all time. I just love this quote. An article titled, How Coronavirus Has Changed Employment makes a good point. Since many cities and states didn't enact work stoppages and stay-at-home orders until near the end of last month, the full effects of coronavirus on jobs won't likely show in the data until the coming weeks and months. The advice you are getting from me is for what we are dealing with momentarily and will be new, changed, and different in a few weeks. So do not rely only on my advice. Continue your research because there is a lot of good information and resources out there. While there are many good resources, keep in mind not everything you read on the internet is accurate. Current unemployment numbers still have yet to be released by the Department of Labor because data is about a month behind. According to the Idaho Department of Labor, and I just got this information about 2 days ago, Idaho's most recent unemployment rate is for March, which is at 2.6%. This rate was released just last Friday, April 17th. So as you can see, the effects of the shutdown in Idaho came just after the week the labor force is measured. So it's hard to say just what the rate will be for April yet. We do expect April's rate to increase substantially due to historic number of claims that have been filed in Idaho. There were 95,961 claims over the 4 weeks to week ending April 11th. The national unemployment rate was 4.4% for March, up from 3.5% in February, and that's the national rate. Also showing the rate will likely increase in Idaho. I point this out because in order to have the most advantage right now, here's some tough truths. You may have to be open-minded to new and different job opportunities. The harsh truth is that since there are less jobs and more job seekers, some will take pay cuts and others will be trying part-time or even temporary jobs until we know more about what the job market is going to do. Being open-minded also includes being open to trying positions in a different industry than you're currently in, especially if you're in an industry where most were laid off. So if you were laid off, I do have to point out that something we want to keep in mind is putting yourself in the business owner's mindset. Shift your mind from victim to empathetic. Whether they showed it or how it happened, they do care, and they are very stressed right now. They are worried about all of you. They're scared for their own friends and families and businesses. They're watching their profits dwindle. They're having to be strong when they may not know how to be. And they're having to make very hard decisions and fast. They're hoping for the best and trying to prepare for the worst very suddenly. And they are just as angry that this is happening to you and to them and to our world. They do care about you. And if they cared enough to lay you off instead of let you work and not be able to pay you for the work you did. They're trying their hardest. If you can see them as equal in fear, your understanding will put you in a different mindset when you're looking for work. You will be human. You'll be less angry and hurt and hasty. Okay, so now that we have addressed the elephant in the room and we've stated the ugly, let's get to the good stuff and talk about opportunity. Something to remember is no just means not right now. I'm gonna say it again, no means just not right now. Josh Sundquist, a motivational speaker who inspired me a couple years ago at a conference I attended, inspires and motivates audiences across the world. His speeches blend humor and heartfelt storytelling to inspire people to discover their one more thing, one more time. He also talks about the 4 steps to success, which are excitement, disappointment, persistence, and success. Easy enough, right? There really is only one step to this formula that matters. It's the persistence. When we are excited about something, we think it's going to be an easy ride. This is where some make a mistake. When adversity or disappointment knocks, the whole excitement goes out the door, and it's really what is done next that carves out whether you will succeed or fail. After the disappointment, persistence is key. It is sending out one more resume even when it feels like they're being uploaded into a foggy cloud of Never Never Land. It's filling out one more application even when you haven't heard back on 20 other jobs. It's going to one more interview, standing tall and confident even if you have been turned down time and time again. It's avoiding the scary media statistics and understanding that a lot of sites have their own agenda and their own way of making the numbers look a lot scarier than they actually may be. It's pleasant persistence. So who is actually hiring? Rani Molla, a columnist from Vox, says, when looking at a year-over-year comparison, the picture is somewhat brighter with increases in hiring for a handful of industries: corporate services, legal, public safety, software, and IT services. And I was actually pleasantly surprised when I was looking for open positions and some tools and resources for you guys in the last week. There are actually quite a few new job openings. So the media's out there, blasting us with a bunch of information saying that there's no jobs, but that's not what I found. I found that there's quite a few new job openings. So that's good news. This is only 5 places, but I do have to give these 5 companies an extra shout out because I put out a survey and they responded immediately, and this was last week. These companies are hiring right now. And they all have recommended that if you're interested in a position with their company, to visit their website and fill out an application online, and some of them have links where you can upload your resume. These next few slides are going to look overwhelming, and they are jam-packed. And I did this to show you guys, like I just said a minute ago, is that there are lots of places hiring. There's companies hiring, there's industries hiring right now, and there's positions open. And there's even a lot of new kinds of positions open. So I'm going to spend a couple seconds on this one. And all of this material, like we mentioned in the beginning, is going to be available afterward. So you don't feel like you have to write all this down or anything. You can have access to this afterward. And this is only about half the amount of companies that I found when doing my research in this last week. And all of these companies and these industries and the positions on the next slide are current, new, and have been posted just within the last few days. This one covers some good industries that are hiring. It looks like still quite a few industries, so that's great. And then here's the open positions, some of the open positions I found right now. And this one really displays that the positions are everything from entry level up to executives and professional and direct hire types of positions. And beyond the everyday regular positions that we have going on, we've got to mention some remote and work from home options. The link at the bottom is to Adam Enfroy's article titled 11 Best Work from Home Jobs for 2020. I read this a couple months ago when I was looking at ways to gain more of an edge in this fast-paced world, and I love it. It's just jam-packed with ideas. And he also offers a free 7-day program, and he has a newsletter that comes out every week on your email if you want. And if you're interested in blogging, that's what his 7-day program will introduce you to for free. So that's kind of an interesting concept. If you have some blogging interests, you might check him out. So there's just so much more. There's so many other ways that you can look for a job right now. Some of the things that I do when I'm out looking for jobs for job seekers is I'll grab the book of lists from like the Idaho Business Review. That displays all the top companies in Idaho, and they're oftentimes have amazing cultures and have very good references behind them. So you can check out some of the company names on there and use those. You can visit the company's websites and see if they have their career openings on there. The places that I surveyed also that they all have up-to-date openings. So I imagine many companies are updating their career sites to being current. A couple other things you can do is by Idaho, and your local chambers will have like a list of all the chamber members. All of those are local companies that may be hiring. You can check out some of these websites. The Idaho Job and Career Fair is the sponsors, and then the Meridian and Boise Chamber, the Department of Labor, Idaho Works, and the Idaho Business Review have all expressed to me that they have created specific COVID-19 who's hiring job links on their websites. So you can check out, and each place will probably have some of the same ones, but then some of them will have some additional ones that maybe some of the other ones haven't heard of. So just many different resources defining different jobs out there. Something else you can do is to, if there's a certain couple companies you're interested in, to set yourself apart, is maybe give them a company review on either Facebook or Google. Reviews is how we gauge whether we're going to do business with somebody. So any company is going to be extremely grateful if you're giving them positive reviews, and it will definitely set you apart for when you go in for an interview, when you have a chance to meet with them. You can join some Facebook job groups. A few of the jobs that I've seen on there are entry level, but there are tons. So there's like 4 or 5 in particular, and they have anywhere between 9 to 28,000 followers, and people and companies posting different jobs all the time. So check those out. And then if you're still at a point where you're looking for work and you want some other creative ways, if you ever wanted to start a business, right now could be a good time. I spoke to the Secretary of State, and they confirmed that they're still doing business over there, and that you can just go on. A lot of the resources to starting a business can be accessed online, and you can do most of your business creation and setting it all up and getting your EIN online, so you don't actually have to be in person. There's some good positions open on apprenticeship.gov and then also volunteer.gov. And I put this become a campground host on there because maybe you're just, you know, this is a volunteer thing, so you're not necessarily going to get paid to be a campground host. But it is one of those things where if you are in a position where you want to get away from town and you want to get out of all this mess we have going on, I do know that they're always looking for people who have an RV, who want to go out in the summer seasons to become a campground host. You can find those on volunteer.gov and then through the Idaho Parks and Recreation, and then Idaho Power too. I think most of the positions for campground hosts for Idaho Power have been filled, but those are actually staffed through us at Express. So if you are interested in those kinds of roles, then give us a call, and I have our information on in a few slides. I can get you that information. And actually the next couple slides are just about us, employment agency. So let's talk about employment agencies for a moment where I work. Why not have a friend in the business? Express Employment and many other agencies in the Valley are here for you. When you interview with us, you get a dedicated recruiter who listens to your experience and preferences, and my recruiters are an advocate for you, especially now when companies are getting piles of applicants and resumes. We are able to tell clients what stands out about you that maybe your resume is not able to tell them. Some agencies like us offer benefits, including medical, dental, vision, short-term disability, 401k, life insurance, plus many other benefits. In addition, it's also free. So all agencies in the Valley, including ourselves, it's free for job seekers to sign up with. I would recommend calling or researching around to different ones in the Valley, asking their specialty and what they can offer to aid in your job search. We also work with many respectable businesses in the Valley and have been helping job seekers and employers for over 40 years. We work with very respectable clients, and some of the clients we do work with are many government agencies, including Ada County, the state of Idaho, Idaho Power, plus many large and small businesses in multiple industries. In the government one, I also want to mention Boise State, absolutely. We work with big manufacturing facilities, warehouses, tiny, small outfits, retail companies, law firms, you name it. If a company is hiring, we are able to work with them. We help you find long-term or short-term, part-time or full-time, and also professional direct hire positions. Oh, hold on one second. I did something. Let me get off that. Oh, shoot. Here we go. Okay, cool. We also have a program called Job Genius, and the site to that is displayed here. It is a whole educational program designed to aid you in your job search and prepare you better. Plus, our corporate office in Oklahoma has spent over 40 years developing many other HR tools and resources for job seekers and hiring managers, making your job hunt even easier. So check us out, check out other employment agencies. There's a lot of good ones in the Valley. Our website and our address and phone number are listed here, and you'll have access. Okay, sorry about that. You guys can hear that. All right. And then here's just a few of our current job openings. This is going to look like a lot of information, but I want to put this in here so that when you do access the slides afterward, you'll be able to see. We have these positions open right now. These companies that have these positions are looking to fill these positions right away. So for instance, if you're a print press operator, we are looking for you. If you have experience in concrete as a concrete finisher, definitely have some openings for you. We have a survey tech repair position that we've been looking to fill for a while, and that's for a local company who's been here for over 30 years, and they have a very good culture, and they're looking for someone to help repair survey equipment. So we just have lots of job openings right now, and I imagine many of the other agencies do as well. Some of them will have different ones than we will. So this is just an insight to some that we have open.
Excuse me, Sarah, did we lose you? Sarah, I think we've lost your audio. Sarah, I believe we've lost your audio. Can you take a moment and check your audio?
Give me a second here.
All right, and I can hear you now. We
Okay.
just need to get your
Can you guys
share
hear me? Are we
screen back.
back?
Yeah, I can hear you. Thank you. Sorry for the technical difficulties here. And Sarah, if you need me to, I can launch screen share and run the slide deck for you.
Are we still here? Can Sean, you let me know?
I can hear you. If you want me to launch the slide deck, I can continue it from where you left off.
Sean, are you able to hear me?
Yes, Sarah, I can.
Sean, are you able to hear me? Hi, can you hear me on there still?
Yes.
Right this moment. Okay.
Sarah, we can hear you. We just need you to share your screen and proceed.
I can't tell. But you can hear me right now or not?
Yes, I can.
Oh, okay, bye. Well, text me if you can hear me.
Yes, but we can hear you. Yes.
Okay, text me if you can hear me right now.
Sarah, we can
All
hear
right.
you.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. Doug, my owner, boss, amazing man, let me know you guys can hear me. So I'm just gonna keep going, and then he'll just let me know if you guys can't. Sorry for that, guys. Okay, so I don't know where we were, but I'm gonna go back to, oh, you can't hear me.
No, we can hear you. We can't see your screen.
You cannot hear me? Doug? Doug, you cannot hear me?
No, we can hear you. I was just saying to tell Sean that you cannot hear him. But we can hear
Oh.
you. Just keep going with your presentation.
Okay, I'm gonna keep going, guys. I'm so sorry. We're having technical difficulties, so just give me one moment here. Okay, bye.
Yeah, just go back to where you were. The last slide, but we can't see your slides.
You can't see at all this whole time?
No, but Sean's saying he can do them for you if you want, so you can tell him. Go to the next slide.
I can't see my slides.
No, we did the whole time until we lost your audio. Now the slides are gone.
Okay.
Shows everybody.
Okay, I'm gonna call Sean. I think I'm gonna keep going here. Okay, guys. I think you can hear me, hopefully. And I'm so sorry, we're having technical difficulties. We're just gonna get this figured out real quick. Sean, are you able to do my slides for me by chance?
We can see your slides now.
Okay. Okay, I think I can hear you now, Sean, right?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. All right, I'm so sorry about that. I don't know what had happened, but let's
And I'm
get
running
back.
your slide deck, so just tell me what slide to be on.
Perfect. I am on past that one. Past that one. Okay, yeah, let's just go there. Oh, the only thing I wanted to say about the prior slide is that looking up a Boolean search. And with Boolean searches, it's another amazing tool to help you simplify your
Can you
job.
hear me, Sarah? Can you hear me, Sarah?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
I can
we
hear
missed
you.
out on this whole slide. This is where we lost you. So I think you need to re-talk about this slide here.
Oh, okay, I can do that. All right. So
Cool.
my whole point in this slide is to let job posting sites work for you. So I have set up some alerts with a couple of these different job posting sites listed here. And we have Jobu, Career Builder, Monster, LinkedIn, Indeed, and ZipRecruiter. Those are just some of them. There's many others out there that most of those sites will allow you to set up alerts where they will email you and send you notifications of new jobs that fit within the preferences and the parameters that you tell them to. And then a Boolean search is another amazing tool to help you simplify. It is a type of search that allows you to combine keywords and modifiers. So words like such as and not and or, and that will further produce more relevant results for you guys. So with the show notes and this presentation, there is a link to a YouTube video that shows you how to set up a Boolean for some of these sites. And it's just incredibly helpful. I definitely would recommend looking into it. All right, next slide. Here is another website that you can go to that just describes or just gives a big PDF list of any positions that have been considered essential. I know every position is essential, and that it's not discrediting that part. I'm just saying on this website in particular, you can view some of the specific positions that they say are, because those positions are no doubt growing and hiring right now. So I give you some more options to look into for different types of job openings that you can check out. Okay, next slide. So now, right now, more than ever is when we need to find our edge, and we need to be positive and be kind to our bodies, and self-discipline and positive self-talk is going to be the one thing or the few things that are really going to take us to the next level when we're looking for jobs. So for instance, no, we probably shouldn't eat that second donut and drink that 5th cup of coffee. I say that because I've experienced this in the last couple of weeks. Being at home gives us very easy access to snacks and breaks, and it's just really hard to avoid that temptation. So I say grab a piece of fruit, drink a glass of water, do 10 push-ups, go on a short walk. Stretching will help so much. Small steps lead to big results. Getting organized may help with all of these sudden changes. A couple tricks I have learned along the way are to have a dedicated notebook where you can watch all of your progress. Or Lynn Juve, a job search strategist, presented a really cute idea of making a thermometer to track all the different job seeking progresses you've made. I personally put everything into my notes app on my phone or into my Google Sheets, which can also be downloaded to most smartphones. And this way I'm able to access and add or change or take out from anywhere, because most of us have our smartphones with us all the time. I'm also able to dictate into my phone and email my notes to myself, which is very helpful. Tim Ferriss, who I will speak of in just a little bit, makes it a point in his life to eliminate as many daily mundane decisions as he can by making one decision towards a routine. Here's an example. We all eat breakfast, and having to make that decision on what we eat every single day can get old. He will eat most of the same thing every day for breakfast. That one decision he normally has to make 365 days a year is now cut down to just a couple simple decisions. This frees up his headspace and allows him to focus on lots more productive and amazing motives. Then when he does change up his breakfast routine rarely, it's a treat rather than a daily chore. I have to mention one of the breakfasts that he makes because I just love it so much. He He recommends frying up some eggs and spinach and adding black beans. He calls it a power breakfast. I eat this all the time and it's so easy and it keeps me full until lunch. Another example of finding a small way to help your life be a little more organized is if you used to travel a lot for work. I love this idea. When you arrive at your hotel and you're hungry, what do most of us do? We call room service, we take a cab and go through a drive-through. We have to think, and oftentimes we're at the mercy of whatever is easily available. This idea came from someone who Tim Ferriss interviewed, and I tried to find out who he was, but I had no luck, but I still think it's important to share this concept. There are delivery services, maybe like an Instacart or a DoorDash, that will go to a local Whole Foods or grocery store, pick you out the items of your choice, like yogurt, nuts, fruits, meats, cheeses, whatever you prefer, and have them delivered to your room, and they are ready for you when you get there. This is a decision made in advance that takes away so many others that may be less desirable. And you get fresh food, and it helps you stay away from having to make so many additional decisions. So another thing to do is to understand your own magic. We all have it within us. For instance, I feel like my ordinary skill and sometimes even annoying ability is to find the positive in hard situations and to problem solve. My mom always said you can have a problem if you come with a possible solution. Now that may be simple, but not to everyone, and not all of us have the ability to recognize. So we need to look at our simple bites of amazingness. In addition, pick a new skill that scares you and make the choice to master it. Making the choice means that you have accepted that it's going to be hard. Maybe you've always wanted to learn a new language, like something like Duolingo. That is an easy one. It's an app, and it can give you like 5-minute lessons, and it can go at your desired pace. So those are just some small examples. Next slide. So more good news is that people are coming together right now, even if it's at a distance. Who is in your circle? Who is in your network? You are the average of the top 5 people you hang out with, as Jim Rohn says. So basically, if you're a parent, then you're now a big kid. Boy, don't we miss our adult friends. Keep them close. If you're struggling with figuring out what your amazing qualities are, ask your close friends. You will likely hear feedback that you didn't even realize, and it may also provide you with an immediate energy and a confidence boost that you might be needing right now. And for your job search, do you know people that you know who are still working? Those people can put in a good word for you. Ask them to. People like to help their friends. Build relationships online. Follow through on emailing people back and watch your grammar. With less in-person interaction, email and phone calls are the most crucial ways of keeping up with people right now. On this note, keep in mind also that you may not know how busy someone is, so if they don't get back to you or carry on a long email conversation via email, it's likely because they're juggling more than can be seen, and they're also getting a lot more emails right now than before. So keep that in mind and try not to take it personal. Find a mentor. And the trick to this one is not to ask someone to specifically be your mentor. That's a lot of pressure on somebody. If you just ask if the person you have in mind has a few minutes to chat, and then just do that each time you need, then it takes the pressure off of them to be a committed mentor, and it will give you the help and insight that you're needing when you need that positive feedback. Expressing your thoughts to another person will help you be held accountable to thinking errors. Let's face it, we're all very good at beating ourselves up. As soon as you state your thoughts out loud, new perspectives are easier to see. You could also do something like starting like a Skype, Zoom, or GoToMeeting club. So we have like book clubs and cookie clubs that we do in person. I've been hearing some people talk about they will create, like maybe they'll just have lunch over a webinar and just keep the communication flowing with some of their adult friends and their people and people who are close to them and their support. All right, next slide. Thank you, Sean. Okay, so the next few slides are going to talk about an interview, and we have to face it that interviewing might turn to becoming virtual. I do have a couple tips on that in particular. Next slide. So this is a picture of a potential job description, right? And I put this in here because job descriptions can be very scary. And I'm here to tell you, do not let them scare you. When clients come to us asking for our help for candidates, most of the time they have between 3 to 5 musts. So when I'm on the phone call with them, they tell me about 3 to 5 major things they have to have in the position, and maybe more, sometimes maybe a couple less. But then they go ahead and send me their job description, and it's like a 3 to 4 page job description. So what that basically tells me is that most of the time, clients are looking for people with those soft skills, someone who's trainable, reliable, honest, hardworking, and someone passionate about what they're doing. Most tasks can be trained for the right candidate. So if you see yourself being passionate about a company, then just apply and don't get afraid of these job descriptions. There's obviously some positions where you have to have a degree, like a certification, but for a lot of them, even if the job description says you must have a degree and you don't, I would still go ahead and apply, because if you have the necessary experience and, again, the passion to bring value to their company, then that's going to go a long ways and really help you out. Okay, next one. Resumes. Okay, this is an intense section because it goes through a lot of different types of tips and tricks in your resume, because basically your resume is a screenshot of a quick intro to what you can bring to the table. So you want it to be short and sweet and to the point and consistent. So there's a lot in here, but just pick out a couple that work for you, and let's get right to it. So our goal here is to plant a lot of seeds with our resumes and then to water them. Remember that your resume is going out, but also your online presence is more important now than ever. Employers are Googling you as part of your resume. So make sure your social media accounts are portraying the image you're advocating for. Another creative thing I've heard recently is a video resume. I don't personally have experience with video resume, but I think it's genius and a fabulous idea. So check that out if you've never heard of it. Something you can do is to save your resume in 2 formats. I recommend this because if you send it over to somebody in Word and you're using a font that they don't have or a format that they don't have, when they open your resume in that Word document, it's going to jumble all your stuff all up and take away from the whole experience of your resume. So if you save it in a PDF and always send your resume out to clients as a PDF, and then also save it as a Word document and email both of those to yourself, then you can access them and change them and send them off very quickly. So most of you probably already know this, but we can access our email from any computer, and you can log in and make some quick, simple changes to your objective to maybe fine tune it for a specific position. Then you'll have the ease of doing that if you have the Word document. Then if you have it in PDF, you can just shoot it off very quickly, and it will save your format. Use their language. So if you have a certain job description, here's an example of a receptionist versus an office assistant. If your resume says office assistant and the job description says receptionist, and you can just change that one word, then that might help your resume flow to the top above the other resumes that they're getting. It's either a human or a system skimming through multiple resumes, and the ones that speak their language will likely stand out faster. The job description for the position you're applying for will give you hints on the types of terms that they are on the hunt for. You can upload your resumes to multiple sites, as we spoke of before. An example is my most amazing and incredible boss, Doug, actually found my resume on Monster, and he found it like months after I had posted. I didn't even remember that I'd posted it on that site. So planting seeds, get your resume out there to many different job posting sites, and you never know when it's going to come back around and someone's gonna find you. Here's a big one. Tailor your resume down to 2 pages or less. If there's a stack of 50 or 60 resumes and someone needs to get a position filled quickly, oftentimes the 4 and 5 page resumes are going to go to the back. So that's just a small recommendation that you might want to cut it down. It's supposed to be, simple for the employer to read. And then be consistent. For instance, if you say you organized ED in the past tense meetings, then I wouldn't say you are sorting products. I would say organized and sorted or organizing and sorting. Check out your punctuation, your grammar, capitalization, bolding, and italicizing. And some of the ways to help you out with that is to get a second pair of eyes on your resume and choose someone who isn't afraid to give you some tough love. Here's an interesting one. You want to dumbify it down for the hiring manager. So when I look through resumes, I might be looking for a perfect candidate for a position that we have open. I am not an expert on every position we have open. So if your resume says something that I don't understand, it's going to be hard for me to understand what you're trying to tell me. So for instance, logistics is one of those words that I had to research. And I see it a lot on military applications. Logistics is a beautiful word, and it means basically operations, leading, planning, and organizing, but not everybody knows what that term means. So take some of those harder terms in your resume and make them a little easier for HR managers to translate. And if your phone number is not local, then maybe state somewhere on your resume that you live here in the Valley. This will just rule out the possibility of an employer setting your resume aside due to thinking that you're not available to start soon, or that they may have to pay relocation costs. You just basically don't want to give them any reason to set your resume aside. Same with your address. If you're living out of state and you're wanting to move here and you're willing to move quickly, take your address off. If you don't have any experience writing a resume, there's templates on most Word programs, or even ask a friend to help you. And there's many resume building classes in the Valley you can check out. And they're probably even doing some of that stuff remotely right now, I imagine. Something else is to not date yourself on your resume. So the 30 years of experience in something is incredible. It's notable and it's wonderful. But you want to make sure that employer knows that those experiences from that long ago are skills that you still have. So what I'd recommend is any skill sets that you're wanting to portray that might be in a prior job that are previous to 10 to 15 years, take those off and move those skills up to the top of your resume in a skills section. Other couple things is to maybe, so for instance, if you have like the term marketing director on your resume, maybe change it to something like coordinator, something a little bit. Basically, you don't want to overqualify yourself too easily. When you want to get your resume out there so that you have the chance to meet with the client and then express all of your amazing talents. But if your resume is looking overqualified, there is a chance it might get overlooked. And also, if you have little to no job experience, that's okay. If you have volunteer experience or you have special projects you've completed, go ahead and list those down on your resume. Okay, so for the application, next slide. Okay, so just a couple things to say about your application. I am sorry to tell you guys this in advance, but right now you will probably have to go the extra mile. With so many job seekers out there currently and companies getting inundated with many applications, they're going to be looking for the applications that are complete. And the reason I'm apologizing for that now is because it's the #1 complaint I hear from disheartened job seekers is that they have a resume, yet they still have to fill out application after application. I'm here to sympathize, but then tell you to toughen up and just keep going. You got to be adaptable right now and become user-friendly to employers. So your applications do need to be very complete. And even checking punctuation and things like capitalization is probably going to be helpful right now too. Again, use their language throughout the application if you can, if there's something that applies to you. And then once you filled out your application, you're not bothering them if you check in to make sure they got it. When you call the company and you ask if they got you call the company, and don't be afraid to ask directly for the hiring manager. So you call and you say, hey, can I please speak to the hiring manager? And if the person that answers the phone says, they're not available, what can I do for you? Let them know. I'm hoping to see if you guys have received my application. Oh, well, they may tell you that, those are done through the HR department or all that stuff's done online. Make sure you ask that additional question. So if they say, oh, everything's done online, okay, who reviews those online applications? And if they don't know, then just ask politely if they wouldn't mind sending you to somebody who might know. And then don't be afraid to ask for like an email address of the person that is getting your applications. It's all about asking that one additional question and being polite about it. That person that's answering the phone may have more power than you realize. So always be nice, always be polite. They are the direct reference to the person you're sending your information to. So, okay, next slide. Preparing for the interview. A couple different things you can do are listed on here. Research the company. Check out articles from the paper, read the About Me page of the company. If you have a personal connection who knows somebody within the company, they might give you some insights that you can use during your interview. You can look up the person who is interviewing you on LinkedIn and maybe find out if they've been nominated for an award recently. Those are some of the small differentiators that will make the big difference when you're in that interview with that person. When you say, hey, I noticed you were in an article for top HR director, then they'll be impressed that you have done your research. Have questions. So there's definitely right and wrong questions. Obviously, we're all curious about what the wages are and the schedule and things like that, but when they ask if you have any questions for them, they're wondering if you are interested in the bigger picture of their company. So ask questions like, what do you envision for the company in the next few years? Why would someone want to work here? What do you see for the future of this company? What is important to your company's culture? What is important to you and teammates? So come with some good, valuable questions. And if possible, something that we have to accept is that we're going to be virtual. And so you want to ask ahead of time what program they're going to be using. So for instance, we're using GoToMeeting. You guys already have it downloaded and you're using it, but you had to do some preparation to get on here. If they're using Zoom or Skype, and that's just the one thing, you don't want to be nervous during your interview specifically because you haven't prepared for the fact that it's going to be virtual. Lighting is important. So I did spend a lot of time like putting a lamp right above my head to make the lighting a little better in the room. That might help out to make it to where you're easier to see. Still want to dress to impress even if you're doing a virtual interview. Look at things like where the placement of your laptop is. Like for instance, I have books underneath my laptop that just elevate it up a little bit higher, and I'm able to pull my screen down a little bit, which gives the view for the audience or for the person you're interviewing with can see you a little better. Make sure things like your cell phones are turned off, and then I would recommend having some water and like a notepad during the interview in case you need to take a break or write anything down. All right, next slide. Once you're in the interview, so if someone is still doing an in-person interview, then I would just go ahead and assume that we need to respect the social distancing, continued on for just a little while longer. You might bring a mask just in case, and I wouldn't try to give any handshakes right now. I oftentimes state in prior seminars that I've done to have a nice firm handshake, so once we can handshake again, then nice firm handshake always makes a big difference. Making eye contact. Preparing your references in advance that they might be reached, and having good, solid professional references is always going to help. And then be positive. We are in a time right now where people are looking for the power of positivity. So bring that to your interview, even if you've been having some hard times. And then with that, be clear and be genuine in what your motives are. So if you know you're planning to stick with the company very long term, then let them know that. And if you know that it's just a short time frame window that you're going to be available to work, then be upfront and honest. It's all about building your network now so that you can utilize those opportunities for later. And then also refrain from bad-mouthing prior employers. There's a lot of people that unfortunately were laid off during this whole thing, and some people may not understand why, and it may not have happened very well. But come prepared with the most positive outlook you can during your interview when you're asked the question of why are you no longer with your prior company? Because if you talk bad about an employer to them, then they're going to be wondering if you're going to do the same in the future regarding their company. And then if you are on virtual, try to have more expression than average or than you normally would. All right, next slide. After the interview is, some good tips here are to maybe send a handwritten card or send a very short email. Your handwritten card can be simply a couple sentences. "Dear Mr. Interviewer, thank you so much for taking your time. I look forward to hearing back from you. Have a great day, Sarah." Very simple, doesn't need to be anything complicated. I do think the power of a handwritten card it is very special. So if you are the one that still does that, then kudos to you. Or if you are uncomfortable sending a card, write a short email. But the point in writing the email is to do it without expectation of a response. Keep it short. So follow up the day after, and if they tell you that they're going to fill the position by next week, then don't be afraid to call the week after that. All right, next slide. Oh, one more thing I did want to say about after the interview is if you've been turned down for the position because they had many other candidates and they chose another candidate, don't be afraid to call in like a month and just check in to see how that position is going, if that person's still there or if it's not. You just never know. If they've decided upon a candidate and then a week later that person stops showing up or something happens, then you never know. You making that phone call just to check in to see if that position is working out for that candidate might make all the difference. So we're almost finished up here, and I just wanted to mention Tim Ferriss. I mentioned him earlier. He is absolutely one of my favorite people on this planet. He is considered the Oprah Winfrey of podcasts, and he has created so much hope for me in general. People laugh at me because I literally fall asleep to his podcast. He interviews top performers all over the world, and he has his website, which is tim.blog, and then his podcast, obviously. He has fear setting exercises, meditational tools, 17 questions that changed his life, and he's also the author of the 4-Hour Workweek, which is a top-selling book. And he's the one I was telling you about earlier who says to make that one decision that eliminates so many others. He also is a firm believer in like stoicism and the 80-20 energy, and especially right now, the 80-20 energy rule is pretty important. So if you're cooped up in the house with your family, then if you all wake up and you all kind of take a measurement of how you're feeling that day. So maybe I say, you know, I'm really feeling like 40% today. And you let your family members know that, then the other family members now can kind of understand the tone of maybe if you're being a little bit irritable that day. And if they know you're only at 40%, then they're like, okay, well, I can make up for your 60% today. I can be the power mode in our family today. So having those kinds of conversations, he helps out with that kind of stuff. He also mentioned Sam Harris for meditation. That's a really, he's a pretty strong meditator if you guys want to look into him. Okay, next slide. So history shows we have survived every recession so far. Historically, since the 1900s, the average recession lasted about 15 months. Cameron King, who was featured by Bloomberg, Tax Analyst, Business Week, Entrepreneur, Huffington Post, and Fox News as a tax, finance, and business expert says, the natural business cycle's economic boom will create more wealth than the recession will erode. While every recession has its own uniqueness, Tom Huddleston, a writer for NBNC, says, recessions are fairly common occurrences, and the odds that every generation is likely to live through their fair share of them. Lynn Jube, a job search strategist, reminds us, the mental game is not to be hard on yourself. The harder you are on yourself, the worse it actually gets. So just remember, guys, we're all in this together, and this too shall pass, and a brighter day will come. I just want to say thank you once again to all of you for joining us, and to our sponsors, Idaho Job and Career Fair, and the Meridian Chamber, and to, of course, my whole Express family, and to my team. I will now open the floor for questions, and I'll get my screen back up here.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Sarah,
I have no question.
thank you so much for the presentation, and I apologize for the technical difficulties that we had, but we were able to get through it.
Yeah.
So in the chat window, we did have someone ask about the first book that you mentioned. What was that title again? The very first book.
Okay. Was it would imagine it would have been, let me go back here and find it. Napoleon Hill?
Yes, the Napoleon Hill.
Okay, the Napoleon Hill book is like, it's Think and Grow Rich.
Okay, Think and Grow Rich. Thank you.
Mhm.
I am going to unmute everyone now so that you can ask questions. Please keep yourself muted if you do not. Let's see here. Okay, you can unmute yourself and ask a question. Thank you.
If you guys aren't comfortable asking questions now, and if you want to send them separately, then we can get you guys answers later too.
Let's check I'm looking in the chat. I'm not seeing any questions right now. Sarah, you did an excellent job. A lot of your information was great. We did have a question pop in here. You mentioned something about job requirements, stress degrees, then you went on to comment, but my audio went out. What were your thoughts on that?
Oh, yeah, just basically that even if a job description says that you have to have a degree and you do not, I would still apply if you have the necessary experience. We have so many clients that I talk to that, you know, when they're making that job description, they're basically putting everything they want to see in the perfect candidate. But a lot of times, if you have the necessary experience, then you don't necessarily have to have a degree. That was my point in that.
Okay. Another question here. It says, thank you, Sarah, for the great presentation. With travel, entertainment, restaurants, etc., taking a bit hit, which industries do you think will thrive in the next 12 to 18 months, aside from healthcare?
Well, definitely healthcare, obviously, but I would say we're going to be moving to more remote type of positions and maybe more IT positions, because everybody's going to have ways to support and accommodate all the remote online positions. I would think that, what other industries? I mean, there's so many industries that are still going strong. Warehousing, delivery, if you're in anywhere like types things like DoorDash. Yeah, that's my recommendation. But we could probably get some other ones from some other folks that might have some recommendations on that too.
Okay, excellent. Patrick is asking that we please share the web link on the work from home idea slide. It looked like it was covered up from the bottom of his screen. So we will be making this entire slide deck available, but I have put it back on the screen. It looks like it's a adaminfroy.com is the website.
Oh, it cut off. Yeah, that link for his. If you just want to Google Adam Enfroy, ADAMENFROY, and then the title is 11 top work from home jobs. Let's see if I can find it real quick.
It looks like he got it. Patrick said he got it with me putting it on the screen.
Good. Yeah, that article is just jam packed. It'll overwhelm you, but it's great.
Okay, excellent. Any other questions? You can unmute and ask the question directly, or you can type it in the chat box. Okay, Sarah, thank you again for your time. We really do appreciate you taking the time to share with us today. And as we mentioned, the slide deck will be made available on the IBL events, the Idaho Job Fair website, and the Meridian Chamber website shortly after this program.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate you watching this with me and getting through it, and everything will turn out all right.
Thank you very much, Sarah. And everyone have a great day. Thank you.
Bye.